This is my turbo Miata walk around. Gonna try and keep this pretty short and simple. Try not to say I'm a whole lot, but let's start with the outside first. Up at the front, this is a $50 eBay Garage Vary replica lip that surprisingly hasn't broken yet, even though I've hit a lot of shit with it. These wheels are Koenig wide open 15x8 plus 20 4x100 bolt pattern wrapped with Kahumo X-Dub PA31 all seasons because it's winter in New England and I drive this car quite a bit during the winter. The hardtop is a snug top, not an OEM one. It's got a cracked rear window and it is also red and missing a latch. But it had all four strikers, so I paid $450 for it, I think. I'm gonna put a Treasure Coast Miata rear window on it, so hopefully that fixes that. In the engine department, this is not the original engine to the car. This is another 95 engine that I got out of a car that someone was parting out for $220. Had a bunch of oil leaks. The crankshaft was junk in it. It had crank walk. Took the original crank out of this, put it in that engine, re-rung, put new bearings in it, replaced the oil pump, water pump, and used a Cometic head gasket, which is slightly thicker, and did a little bit of a polish job on the head, no porting, because I didn't have a flow tester. But that's pretty much what's going on in the engine. It's got about almost 2,000 miles on the rebuild. I had to pull it once, replace the oil pump, because I put the original 180K oil pump in there. I also replaced the thrust bearing because it was wearing, because I had an ACT 4-puck unsprung clutch on a stock flywheel without the starter lockout, so you had to push the clutch in, and that prematurely wore the bearing out. So disabled that clutch thing, and it's got 500 miles on it. No signs of metal in the oil at all. Turbo setup is pretty much Beggy hardware for the four outside ones. And those four ones, those five are stock. This is a T3 Taco Beggy knockoff, $110 on eBay. Pretty good. Got about 4,000 miles on it, no complaints. 50 trim China Charger. This is the same one that Lars uses in his MK Turbo kits. I get boost at around 3.5 to 4,000. That's pretty slow due to lack of EBC, and also I have a 2.5-inch downpipe with a tight turn in it and a full 2.5-inch exhaust. So that's probably where my spooling is. Problems are coming from, and also that manifold spools like shit, I'm not gonna lie, or sugarcoat it. Intercooler piping is all DIY, air filter, just made out of intercooler piping. I use worm clamps over T-bolt clamps because they clamp better. Just 2.5-inch intercooler piping to a eBay. Actually, this might be an Amazon radiator, or not radiator, intercooler. Pretty big. Keeps the intake air temperatures pretty low. eBay rad, stock fan, eBay secondary fan, both wired in parallel. I think they kick on at like 160. DIY coolant reroute with the spacer from Beggy. What else? Like I said, coolant reroute. I kept power steering. I had this power steering reroute. This hose used to flip around there. Cut it off, flipped it, and made the hose much shorter. Still works fine though. Injectors are RX-8 injectors from eBay, 420 cc's. I am running Megasquirt, not plug and play, Megasquirt DIY, MS1 high res. Pretty old, pretty outdated, but paid $200 for it and it gets the job done. I have a fan mod, the ignition mod. Haven't been able to get my mod for the IAC valve to work. And I also have the tack circuit in because you need a tack circuit on 95.5s and up. Or maybe it's just all 95s, I'm not exactly sure. I went over the clutch. The brakes are Napa centric rotors. They're AutoZone centric rotors, I think, with AutoZone Gold pads. They're made by Bosch, so they're a good pad. Got about 4,000 miles of street driving, spirited street driving on them. They leave a little bit of dust, but I think they're a pretty good daily driver pad. I'm sure they'd fade a lot if you track them pretty hard, but that's to be expected with a $100 pad. What else haven't I gone over? Still has ABS, deleted cruise control, and AC. Oh, it's the shell. This is a 95 shell M edition. It had pretty bad rocker panel rust, so I cut it out and welded new panels in and got the whole car resprayed. The suspension, I don't know how well you're going to be able to see that, probably not at all. Yeah, not at all. It is Yanaka Spec 1s. It was the first run of coilovers. I think the spring rates are 7K front, 4K rear. The exhaust, that is a thrust welded muffler, 2.5 inch. At the back. On the interior, it's pretty stock. Stock wheel. Got an Innovate MTXL wideband boost gauge by Equus or Equus. Pioneer head unit. It's all power windows. I have the soft top, and this is a Hard Dog. I don't know how well you can see it. Hard Dog hard bar with a Racing Beat Toneu cover, as well as a the stock, not harness bar, but rear strut bar thing. Also another shot of the suspension. You can see these have like 20-way adjustable damping. But yeah, so it's pretty much the car. Power windows too. It's got a good amount of M edition luxuries, but I lost like the AC and stuff. But that's me car.